It is kind of difficult to assume the United States has been in a tough position when it comes to negotiating Mideast peace for some time, by virtue of the fact that there are some parties who don't think the United States is a fair broker when it comes to the Middle East. But ever since Trump taking office, there's nobody with a bit of a brain who could think the United States is a fair broker anymore. So the idea that Jared Kushner, who comes with zero experience in negotiating any kind of international anything, would be the guy to break through when the United States is less trusted in the Middle East than it's ever been trusted before is sort of hard to believe.
I think that's an understatement, Ali. Not just hard to believe, I think it's complete fantasy, the idea that Jared Kushner is the man to bring peace to the Middle East. He doesn't just lack experience, as you say. He doesn't have, zero experience of Middle East diplomacy or any diplomacy. The guy's a property developer. But also, he's a walking conflict of interest, Ali. This is a guy who, he's close family friends with the Netanyahus, has been since he was a child. Did you know that Benjamin Netanyahu literally slept in his bed when Jared was a kid? When he visited Jared's dad in New Jersey, Jared went to the basement. He's best friends with Netanyahu. He and his father have massive investments in Israel and from Israelis in their own businesses back here in the United States. And his family foundation, the Kushner Foundation, Ali, has given tens of thousands of dollars to settlements in the West Bank, which are considered illegal under international law, and which all U.S. administrations have called an obstacle to peace. How can you be a peace broker when both of your feet are planted so firmly on one side of the conflict?
But where he has had a little experience in diplomacy, and it's very new, is where he decided to become best friends with Mohammed bin Salman of Saudi Arabia, which ended up in Qatar being ostracized and embargoed, really, by its Middle East neighbors. I mean, he's not even particularly good at this.
No, he's not. And just full disclosure, I'm a presenter on Al Jazeera English, which is owned by Qatar. But in terms of his relationship with the Gulf states, I think Jared Kushner's view, and he's gone on this Middle East trip, Ali, he's visited Gulf states, he's visited Egypt. He hasn't spoken with the Palestinians. He only speaks with one side of the conflict.
But if you remember, let's just stop for a second. I was in Davos when President Trump was there, and he made some statement that they've got the Palestinians to agree to some kind of peace deal. And I quickly called up people and said, what could this be? And there was nothing. There was no truth to it whatsoever. There's been no meaningful conversation with the Palestinians at all.
In fact, the Palestinian leadership are saying this weekend that this is a trip is a waste of time. They believe that he's more interested in regime change, in getting rid of President Abbas, than in getting any kind of real peace deal that Palestinians can sign up to. What's so interesting about his Arab tour is that Kushner thinks his friends in the Gulf world, his friends in Saudi Arabia and the UAE and Egypt, will help bring the Palestinians to whatever deal he and his father-in-law come up with. And I just don't think that it's going to work. No matter how pally he is with Mohammed bin Salman of Saudi Arabia, the reality is that no Arab state can afford to sign up to any kind of peace deal which basically doesn't give Palestinians a capital in East Jerusalem, which is basically what we're hearing is going to come out of Jared Kushner. Is not saying East Jerusalem will be the capital of a Palestinian state. He's not saying that there'll be any pressure on Israel to give up settlements. He basically is just saying that the Palestinians should suck it up and accept anything we give them. And of course the Palestinians, Ali, as you know, are the occupied people. Israel is the occupier.